Hello friends, welcome back to Innovations in Marketing and Marketing of Innovations. And one of the most important elements which we are going to dwell upon now onwards for a while, at least for this session and the next session, those elements are related to innovation and value chains. And you see, we started our story from value chains. We started the perspective around value chain marketing. We started our discussion around value chain marketing, and we build up a case around value chain marketing perspective, value chain networks, and so on. And you may like to revisit those sessions which we specifically devoted to these elements. But now, creating a full circle of sorts, we have reached to a situation of there where we would be discussing innovation and value chains in entirety. And while I was preparing on the text and the associated aspects which I would be highlighting all through, you see, you look at this radio, this equipment, Carvaan. I remember, and then I just went into that scene. See, I remember around 5 years back, my mother fell ill and she could not walk. She got a stroke and she was on bed. Finally, she left this world on 31st of March 2021. But 3 years of her life, she was on bed. And my mother, my parents being doctors, they understood the repercussions of what she was going through. My brother, who himself was administering her as a doctor, as her physician, he sort of understood the anxiety, the anguish, the pain she might go through while getting confined to a bed. A lady of 76, 77, 78 years of age, sort of 77 if I remember correctly, and working throughout her life, serving people up till that particular stage, talking to patients, cooking for us, managing the house, doing so many things. She was confined to a bed, now being served by her life partner and several other people. Was happy to see around the family members, the body getting deteriorated, and she was losing. Her health was failing, and she knew the elements associated with that. She knew the medicines she was having. I am trying to build up this scenario because this was an equipment which was gifted to her by my brother, so that she could listen to those songs which she used to listen in her early days, a classic collection. My brother listened to these songs, the collection, brought this radio to her and said, it has a large collection, Ma, and you would keep on listening to these and rejuvenating your memories of those days when you would listen to this radio. And you see, holding that equipment in her hands took her there basically. It looks like that. Took her there, and he switched it on for her, and this beautiful song started getting played, and she actually went into that scene basically. This is Carvaan all about. It's a wonderful product, and it has those elements which I am trying to put in front of you. We have used a case study to elaborate upon these elements. That case study reference would be given to you. Those elements are taken from there. But try and look at this slide, and you see that is what Saregama India Limited has done for their customers. How did they conceive this? How did they go for this innovation is a wonderful story, and I would definitely recommend you to please read that complete case study, and I would be putting up some elements out of that case study in front of you. But looking at the innovations in value chain all through with this perspective of Carvaan, you would realize that they did a lot of marketing research, So many marketing research experts, and they themselves were associated with this, they went intrinsically into the hearts of the customers to find out their customers, their targets, to find out what would they like. They thought of micro segments, they thought of targets, and then you would realize that they are associated here with a whole lot of a distribution system. We have talked about that, but here we are looking at a larger value chain, and these are very interesting slides. And this distribution traverses into online and offline. Now this is getting bifurcated into sort of a chain and a network as well, and it is getting evolved. And I would strongly recommend you to replicate this process of putting a product in center and start putting up circles around and start drawing such kind of value networks for yourself as well, to understand how innovation traverses throughout value chains and value networks. We are deliberately using value chains because it is a standardized terminology. Value networks is an evolving terminology. Some papers are being written and were being written. So, we are using value chain here for your comfort. So, online it goes towards organizations like Amazon and Flipkart, and they did went in association with these organizations, and that is again a story. And then that goes towards buyers, millennials, and this again traverses to websites also, and offline goes towards retailers also, wherein retailers also become drawn towards this kind of a product. Probably they are also using it for their elders, and if they are elders, they are also enjoying this product somehow. And then from buyers it goes to precise elderly users. On the other side, you look at another bifurcation, marketing, and that goes into positioned as gifts for parents. That is the story I told you precisely. And this is, I tell you, this is a very important gift for parents nowadays. Not only in my case, but I have seen several cases, sons and daughters bringing karma for their parents. And that has become very interesting and very rejuvenating also. And then you see many times, sons and daughters, they are listening to those songs with their parents, and parents are actually going into a flashback sort of, and telling those stories and sharing those stories with their children. It's a wonderful kind of a feeling which they get into. And then target customers, age largely above 40, but then within that several micro segments and several targets, and nostalgic appeal. So, this also these are the elements of marketing which get associated here. Then on the other side, manufacturing is there, and we have talked about these kind of things earlier also, but look at this composite picture. And then technology is there, and then raw material which goes into plastic industry, steel industry, color industry, and several others. And then the prime most thing, which is the most important part of this, songs. A music director, singers, lyricists, a directory, and a sequence, and you see so much of rejuvenating sequence, should I say, where so many elements are thought of, that which song should come first, or how it would be accessed, and how things are to be seen with the perspective of individual customers, and so on, and so much, so many elements. And here comes the further description in terms of, you see, network does not end there, it is again another bifurcation or spread of network, if you will look at. And if you will put these, print those slides and put these slides together, you would realize it's whole lot of a network around, web sort of a thing basically. I would not keep on evolving the terminology for you, and I would not say that from value chains to value networks to value web. No, we can say that, but that would be too far, and there is no authentic research based description in literature as of now in terms of value webs basically, but all those authors have started talking about such kind of things. So, on this side, karma goes towards electrical and electronics industry, and look at the interrelationship of different kinds of industries and different kinds of elements here. So it goes towards Bluetooth enabled speaker industry, then it goes towards millennial buyers, which comes back to gifting industry, it goes back to electronics industry, then elderly entertainment industry. Elderly entertainment has been seen scantily up till now, as if in many cases elders might not require entertainment at all. Tourism industry has focused upon it for a while now, but what else? Not many options, and that is what they did. A beautiful perspective which they developed in mind, and they earned out of that. So then elder care industry, elderly consumers, elderly mental health industry. Music has found, music is a reason to rejuvenate whole of your mental system many a times. It releases stress, it gives you peace, it makes you healthy from inside, and it can enable a longer life, God forbid, if I am overstepping. And then this music industry, of course, radio and transistor industry. I still, imagine, and then sometimes I try also putting up a short wave or medium wave somewhere, and getting a distant channel and listening to some songs and those kind of things. And I remember my grandfather always used to listen to a news on a radio, kind of, and then we used to sit around him, and he used to decipher the meaning of the news to us and so on. Internet based music apps industry, and definitely advertising industry, the revenue churner, the huge revenue churner as far as the whole situation goes. Now you see, what happens is, when we talk of innovations in value chains, I have sort of taken you towards the elements of chains, networks, and then sort of a web. Now this is created or driven through innovation, and that innovation is a thought process. We have talked about these kind of things as a thought process around so many aspects to come together. For example, that is what we have seen in the case of karma. So you see, at this moment when I talk to you about innovation in marketing, I wish to step or take a step further while explaining it to you that innovation through value chains, networks or webs, which we are discussing, is actually bringing things or bringing all the elements which we have discussed up till now together, all the elements together meaningfully. We have to bring a meaning from all those elements, and that is what you call innovation. Karma brought in earlier songs, old songs, and I would not use this word old for songs because music never gets old. It always lives afresh, whichever way. So they brought in those songs which had meaning for these people, their target customers, and then they collaborated and collated every element throughout the value web or value networks, and that is how innovation is realized, and that is precisely what we have to understand as far as the whole scenario goes. But if you will look into all these elements once more, you would realize that Karma actually was looking for the benefits of all these, partners or people who would be contributing into this effort, this small box. Amazon is contributing indirectly, or let us say some music director is contributing indirectly, or some recorded song is contributing, or people associated with some recorded song or originators of those songs or poets are contributing indirectly. So Karma is looking for traversing or transferring those benefits to every partner, and especially the users, wherein these users, they are actually getting benefited emotionally. which is the most important thing when you think in terms of touching the hearts of your customers. And that is where mental health industry also comes in. You never would have imagined, or I don't know if Karma actually thought of this when they were designing this. Basically they probably would have, that somehow this would help them. Probably their marketing research would have told them this. They would have visited geriatric hospitals someday. They would have realized that people are feeling dull, they don't know how to spend time anymore. I remember when my mother got this feeling of that, how would I spend rest of my life, whatever it is there. So if you would play this for her, time would stand still, and that is what is important for several people. So that is where this particular industry also came into being, and the benefit to this industry and the people associated with this industry. You may even go to the length of going for further researches on rejuvenation of mental health through Karma or through songs and music. There are several researches associated with that, but then through these kind of equipment which can propel and support these kind of things. You see, and I would read some lines for you from the case study itself, which is written by Basu R and Sondi N 2019, Saregama India Limited, repositioning the value proposition, and that was published in Ivy Publishing. So references and URL is given for you. Music Mother's Memories. With Karma, Saregama sings a new tune of success. The Karma portable digital music player has the appearance and feel of a vintage transistor radio. That is what they conceived, because people wanted that radio look, but performs modern music player functions. Along with a USB port, it has Bluetooth connectivity. Although the technology and aesthetics contribute to increasing this music player's status and setting it apart from competing models, its internal components are what really set it apart. They conceived everything. They brought in those kind of people who could make it happen. They brought in those kind of organizations who could make it happen. The majority of customers buy a Karma unit in order to access the 5,000 tracks that were handpicked after thorough research. This renders all competition void because nobody can replicate the unique selling proposition. That is what happened with them. That is precisely they came up with, and that is what we have discussed. Innovation actually takes you that way, wherein you sometimes or many a times make competition irrelevant. The product offers a different music listening experience compared to traditional music streaming apps like Spotify, Apple Music or YouTube Music and so on. And you see, they are different. It caters to a specific niche audience that values nostalgia, simplicity and offline music playback. Each of its features, such as no requirement of internet connection, curated playlists, ease of use and ad-free experience, contributes to its distinct appeal for those seeking a more traditional and offline music listening experience. Elders, they are hesitant to use mobile phones for accessing music many a times, and you see, that is why they reduce the requirement of internet connection, curated playlists, ease of use. And while reading this, I am reminded of Blue Ocean strategy somehow. So according to a report, approximately 120 million Indians are currently aged above 55, and this number is projected to increase to approximately 300 million by 2050, constituting around 20% of the total population. India Aging Report 2023 says so. Music holds a significant role for the elderly, and rest we have talked about. In addition to benefiting mental health, music has the power to uplift and enhance the emotional well-being of elder individuals. Reflecting on cherished memories and reminiscing about the past can effortlessly bring joy and sense of comfort to them. Daniel Kahneman has taught us how we try to relive memories to make future memories, and that is an important thing which this equipment has contributed to. By seamlessly integrating music into their daily routine, seniors can not only improve their overall quality of life but also contribute to their well-being. In 2017, Saregama India Music and Content Company introduced Karma, which is not too far behind, and a preloaded music device designed for elder generation. This is how it was constituted. Karma has expanded its offerings to include regional language variants and has achieved sales of over 2.4 million units, 6-7 years. a huge number, a good number. This innovative product includes content like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Gurbani and devotional songs as well, and its latest version has introduced podcasts as well. My personal liking has been these specific contents which I have just talked about, and Gurbani especially. Karma consistently conveys through its campaigns the importance of entertainment in the lives of elderly and emphasizes the profound impact music can have on their ability to navigate through their challenging circumstances. Look at this slide. Airbnb, an affordable accommodation industry, hotel industry, crosses to local businesses. Airbnb is directly associated with local businesses. This is really a web, interesting web. And you see, local authentic cuisine, secondary income source, ease of business, safety concerns, environmental concerns, internet industry, work from anywhere culture, tourism industry, authentic local experience, travel industry, rental vehicle industry, air travel industry, knowledge industry. If somehow someone starts paying me to teach from anywhere and they book different places for me through Airbnb, and they tell me that you go to that place abroad in Europe somewhere and teach from there for a while and your creativity would rise, I would be happy to do that. I hope IIT is listening. So, that is the perspective, and that is how people like me can also become target to Airbnb, and hope Airbnb is also listening. So, you see, the point is, and if both the parties are listening, then definitely I would be benefited, but this is how this web has been created. Airbnb, live like a local. How do you live like a local? You have to create all these elements all through when we talk of local businesses, local authentic cuisine, and so on. So, Airbnb definitely is a global online marketplace that connects travelers with hosts who offer lodging and accommodations for short term stays. It was founded in 2008, and you see, these are recent phenomena. 2008 to 2023, 15 years, and 2017 to 2023, hardly 6 years. And the brilliance has made, their brilliance has made them grow like these kind of things. They have been thinking in terms of innovations all through value chains, value networks and value webs. So, it was founded in 2008 and has since become a popular platform for booking a wide range of accommodations, including apartments, homes and unique vacation rentals. We all know that in various destinations around the world, but that is how they conceived everything. Airbnb emerged with a simple proposition that intertwined advantages for both travelers and residents in tourist destinations, offering economic benefits to both the parties. Communalizing, universalizing tourism and stay at different places, that is what Airbnb thought. There are several case studies on Airbnb, and some case studies would decipher in front of you that how when someone went to stay somewhere and they did not find a suitable accommodation at an optimum price, how did they conceive this kind of a story. So, that history is always available for you to study, and the source is given for you as far as this particular story which we have narrated in front of you, or I am narrating in front of you. So, Zervas G and Proserpio D and Byers JW 2017, the rise of sharing economy, estimating the impact of Airbnb on the hotel industry, Journal of Marketing Research. And the precise thing which you can get from the title itself is the rise of the sharing economy. When we talk about value chains, value webs and value networks, sharing innovation and the fruits of innovation is the mainstay, and that is the main call as far as the whole situation goes. So, Airbnb as an example of a for profit P2P network platform competes with traditional hotels on price, and initially in particular sort of compete with them, and digitalization also helps when we are talking of such kind of a marketplace, and the network or two-sided business model allowed for an exponential growth of Airbnb, ongoing growth, the case says, and the article says. This growth threatens the market share of traditional accommodations, puts pressure on housing markets, and it contributes to tourist nuisance to residents. Now, you see, there have been some pitfalls as far as sometimes insensitivity of tourists and insensitivities related to tourism industry. We have been complaining about the kind of pollution or the kind of waste which tourists they sometimes create. Airbnb sort of innovations, or this kind of a conception in terms of innovations, might have started in terms of comforting tourists to find the right places for themselves. But again, it can traverse into reducing the effects of general tourism, which have been slightly overlooked many a times, or have become the reason for several compliances and several rules and regulations. But if we somehow create this innovation that can traverse to the limit, to the level where somehow people would become more sensitive towards tourism. And because in innovations in value webs and value networks, we have found out then when every party gets mutually benefited, their mutual relationship actually gets enhanced and strengthened. And that is where innovations in value chains and value networks come to fore, wherein this mutual gain traverses towards mutual respect also, and reduces the, I would not say ill elements, but not desired or undesirable elements of any industry or any business for that matter. And you see, as they popularly say, that it is a general understanding that Airbnb is bad for hotels but good for tourism, sorry. That is how the authors they have expressed that. But I would try to decipher this very briefly in front of you in a different mode. When the competition, for example, Airbnb created a niche for themselves, or let us say a different path for themselves, niche might not be the right word, but a different path for themselves, and they in sort of a blue ocean way went ahead by passing the competition, then these people or these parties who are their affected parties in terms of the people who are losing customers because of Airbnb, they would also innovate. And that is how innovations through value networks or innovations in value chains and value networks and value webs affects the complete industry and takes them towards further innovation as such. And this happened, people started innovating upon. Hotels, they started precisely looking into how well they can serve their customers, how well they can associate themselves towards environmental sensitivity and so on. And many things started happening around, and the whole of this industry, I am not saying just because of Airbnb, but whole of the industry started rejuvenating itself in terms of how innovative they can be. And that is the precise resultant of innovation in marketing when we talk about this particular subject. The presence of Airbnb is anticipated to drive hotel rates and revenues down many a times, but then they would innovate, they might also grow in due course of time. And you see, then some data by the authors have been given on Texas specifically, and then job related data is also given. You see, what Airbnb did is precisely enumerated in five points. Yes, customization and personalization, uniqueness of the offer, use of existing buildings, community building between guests and locals, integration into local economies, whole of the value network and value web. And that is precisely when we are talking of as far as the innovation perspective through value chain networks go. Look at this slide once again, wherein Airbnb is at the center, and lot many things are surrounding Airbnb through interconnected method or in an interconnected way. You may put other elements here as well. You may choose this slide to put some more around and then connect them to Airbnb and others as well, or you may replicate this exercise in case of other examples you would choose to bring, to gain understanding for yourself in terms of innovations in value chains and innovations in value networks, innovations in value webs, or innovation through value webs. I will be coming back to you with an interesting discussion on innovation in value chains through some principles which we have learned through some articles, and I would be specifically deciphering a very interesting article in front of you while demonstrating the advanced stages of this understanding which we are trying to build up in innovations in value chains. I will be catching up back with you. Till then, goodbye.